Hi, Barry Michael here from Barry Michael Boxing. Just going to introduce our first guest for our first podcast, Kane Watts. Kane Watts, the current Australian Cruiserweight Champion, has the opportunity of a lifetime in Paris, France, at the Accor Hotel Arena on the 15th to the 11th, a couple of weeks away, to fight for the WBA, the very prestigious WBA Super Cruiserweight World Champion against Armenian-born Frenchman Arsene Goulamirian, who's undefeated in, what's he undefeated? He's got a very impressive record, 24 wins, 0 losses, 16 by KO. Kane, great to have you on board here, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Now, just quickly, I'd like to ask you a few questions about how you got into boxing, but Kane's record at the moment is 21 wins, 13 by knockout, 0 losses as well. He's lost 3 on points, never been stopped, so he's one tough cookie indeed. And this is a fighter's dream, to fight for the world title. And this was the WBA Super Cruiserweight Championship of the world. Now, Kane, I've got to ask you, when you first got into boxing, did you ever actually think that one day you'd be climbing in the ring in Paris, France, and fighting for a world championship?
No, mate, it was probably, couldn't be any further from that. But, yeah, I started off at a young age. I was getting taken to a kickboxing gym down in Somerville, called Smack, by my dad, who used to do a bit of kickboxing. So I just trained in between footy seasons for probably, I don't know, 8 to 10 years, and then had enough of footy and decided to try my hand in the ring, and yeah, here we are now.
I've got to ask you, did you fight as an amateur?
I did, mate. I had 12 fights, 10 wins, 2 losses.
Okay.
And a couple of kickboxing fights before that.
You did that as well, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you've won 3 championships, I think, to this stage. You won the Victorian Cruiserweight Championship, the Australian Cruiserweight Championship, and the WBA Oceania Cruiserweight title.
Yeah, I won the interim Oceania title in 2016 after the Green fight. And then, won the full title, luckily, this year.
Good stuff.
Earlier this year.
Tell me, who do you think, who's the best fighter you've actually fought, do you think?
Probably, I don't know, it's pretty tough to say. My first fight my first loss against Oscar Ciali, that was probably the first wake-up call of me pulling my head in and concentrating on training. And I learned probably the biggest lessons from that first loss. And then,
Then Daniel Amman. Very quality fighter.
Yeah, he was another quality fighter and been around the traps, fought everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, I was unlucky to break my hand in the 3rd round of that fight. So
that's always a big setback. But you know, you went the distance. I mean, it's a credit to you that you're a big guy. You know, these guys punch hard, and you've never been stopped. And against Arsene Goulamirian, you've undoubtedly had a look at him. What do you see with him? And
he's a very well credentialed fighter, obviously, and he's a real technical fighter. Got clean hands and throws a lot of power shots by the look of his knockout record. So it's going to be a tough ask. He's a pressure fighter, so we've been working on a few tricks to counteract that when we fight him. So.
Okay. Now, he's fought another Australian, actually. I think it was his last fight, I think. Goulamirian, he's made one defence, stopping Australia's very seasoned world title contender Mark Flanagan in his last fight, which was on the 20th of the 10th last year. So he's been out for a year. Now, that's probably a good thing for you, the relative inactivity on the behalf.
Yeah, I've had a couple of fights, and I had a 2-year layoff after my return bout in September last year.
Yep.
So I've had a couple of fights and been pretty active in the gym, and I just got back from a training camp over in Thailand. I was sparring some pretty high level guys over there. So
good. I mean, training over there in those conditions, certainly it's a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is.
And for our viewers out there, I mean, one of the hardest things I ever had to do was to walk away from boxing when I've lost my world title, to retire. If you win this championship, you go over there and do Australia proud. And I'm sure you do Australia proud no matter which way it goes, and it's always tough when you're fighting out of town, especially at this level. But say you win the world title, what you think you'll continue and defend it until you lose it, or you have more fights? Or
I never look past my next fight. Like I was worried about getting that out of the road, and then we reassess after that.
Okay.
But boxing, as you know, mate, it's not a sport you can sort of aim 5 fights down the road. You got to take each one as it comes.
You're pretty right there, Kane. What do they say? You're only one punch from disaster.
That's it.
And we've got a couple of big guys here, cruiserweights. What's the actual limit for our viewers out there? The cruiserweight limit?
90.7, so 200 pound in the old scale.
What would you be weighing today?
I've been hovering around probably 96.
Okay, so that's comfortable.
I've come down from 112 when I was.
Have you 112? Wow,
I was over in Thailand 6-7 weeks ago. So
it certainly would come off pretty quickly in Thailand.
Yeah,
but
looked shades of the old butterbean when I was over there.
I don't reckon. Look, on here we've got some photos of the great Gennady Golovkin on the right and Arsene Goulamilian here next to him there. He's a pretty powerful looking dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he certainly is. Looks like a bit of a bodybuilder up top, but yeah, looks on everything.
And as you said before, looking at this next photo, he's got relatively skinny legs.
Yeah. Yeah, his legs certainly don't match his upper body, that's for sure.
And that was against Mark Flanagan, I think.
Yeah.
The stoppage win over the very durable world title contender Mark Flanagan from Queensland. And, Mark's had a couple of shots. He actually went the distance with
Dennis Lebedev.
The great Dennis Lebedev, Southpaw, very tough world champion indeed. Look, Kane, on behalf of Barry Michael Boxing and the whole of Australia, we'll all be praying for you, mate, and we just hope you really can pull that one out of the fire, knock this bloke out and bring this very highly regarded world championship back to Australia. And I must say it's an absolute pleasure to have you as my first interviewee on Barry Michael Boxing.
That's it, mate. I think I started my boxing career off of you too.
Yes, you certainly did. Thanks very much, Kane.
Cheers,
Fabulous.
mate. Thank you.